teams and individuals.
I started with the recordings. I forgot.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
sorry, Debbie.
Oh, no, I think I was done. I supervise teams, individuals. We've teach supervision, do supervision. So it's a subject that's very close to my heart.
Okay, and you are an ICF or MCC, or you belong to some association?
Yes, I am. I'm an MCC coach with the ICF, and we have an ICF accredited coach training school.
Okay.
And I also teach the SFBT. So we've done a lot of work since 2004, thousands of people that have come through our program, and a lot of them being supervised by us.
Okay, thank you so much.
Or Jane, myself.
Someone else want to?
I'm happy to jump in. I'm Anita. I'm a speech and language therapist in the UK, based in London. Work part-time as well for City University on the training course for speech and language therapists, where I get to use loads of SFBT, solution-focused coaching, supervision, and I work part-time for City Lit Institute in the stammering team. So I run interventions for people who stammer, and I'm involved as well in other programs there as well, working and sort of training speech and language therapists. And I've just recently done some training for whole teams on SF coaching, which included supervision as part of that. So that's why I'm here.
Great. Bernard or Jan want to say something, and then we start. Yes. Yes.
Okay. I'm a lead coach for a social housing organisation, and like most of you, I'm also an accredited practitioner in SF. I supervise our coaches, and so I'm quite interested to hear what you have to say about that. I've had some training with John Wheeler, who's done several sessions on supervision, and I do supervision with my coaches. So.
Okay, thank you. Bernard, if you want to say something, or I start. Yes, you say something.
Hi, I'm Bernard. I'm a manager for a utility company in Malaysia, Sarawak, Malaysia. Okay. So I'm a SF practitioner. So I like to learn more about this from Mako.
Okay.
And then in organization, how you apply this to the organization?
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm a solution-focused trainer and coach, and I'm also a supervisor. I'm a part of MCC, European Mentoring Coaching Council, and I'm also a supervisor accredited in the framework of MCC. I have a qualification at ACIA, European Supervision Individual Hour, and I will talk about this different level. I show you some picture that I create, and we can see the real life that happened in our life. And then people arrive to the coaching in order to analyze, to find solution and so on. And so in the A level, we analyze the real life of people, of what happened, in order to help them to achieve goals. But sometimes coach need to be supervised in order to improve their attitude, to analyze what they do as a more specific self-reflection. And so I go on supervision. I was a technical supervisor because I teach in my school in solution focus. And so I supervised my students from technical point of view. In ICF, they call mentoring coaching. So they analyze your session, and they look, and we look, also me, I look what you do. For example, in solution focus, if you apply the miracle question, it's very near to the original one. You say something, what you can learn from this approach in the 4 minutes from the start, you say that, your clients say that. So in this area, in the B area, we analyze the coaching approach, the methods, and the tool for the coach. So the focus on the coach. And then when I arrived in MCC, they say me, well, you must be supervised if you want to be an accredited coach. I'm a senior practitioner. And so I say, yes, I want to know more. And I discover a very different level. Because in MCC, the focus is not only on the coach, it's also on the coachee. And so supervision become also a service that we do to the market in order to help and to say to the market, we look to the client, we look to the level of the client. And of course, in the C area, there is also all stakeholder, Bernard, for example, supervision, this is coaching supervision, but we are analyzing, we are working about executive reflection. This is the new trend and is a very perfect for manager, for CEO. So help people to reflect on what they do. Dewey said we don't learn from the experience. We learn from reflecting on the experience. And so also manager that often are alone, maybe need to explore the parallel process, what happened in the system, what we can see in every area. So the focus in the C level is not only like in the B, the level of technique, but it talk about also about the relationship between me and the client, between the coach and the coachee, between the system. And so in MCC, they develop a model that is the 7 eyes model. If you Google 7 eyes model, you will find this level, about 3 levels, about coachee, client, and supervisor. And they analyze every mix between them. And then there is also an area D, because also a supervisor need to be supervised, of course. This is supervision on supervision. And the other level that I want to show you is the function of supervision. And so Isktok and Proctor, they developed this free function about this model of MCC supervision. So there is a formative approach in order to check if supervision, if the coaching is near to the model about the history, the epistemological background, and so on and so on. And then there is a normative approach, how I abide the code of ethics, for example. What about the conflict, the ethical conflict? For example, I am MCC, we have a global code of ethics, but ICF, there are code of ethics. So your work, how it's merged with the code of ethics, the inclusion and diversity approach, something like that, or the legal part. So this is the normative part. Just an example. I had a client that asked me to be my supervisee and say, yes, great, you could be I can be your supervisor. And then she asked me, okay, and I'd like you also be a supervisor or my coach. I say, okay, I need to think about. What do you think about the conflict of ethics in this level? Could I be the supervisor of the boss and also the supervisor of their employee? Any idea? Or I continue? I have this doubt. So I go to my supervisor and we discuss about it from this level of very high level. And she say, well, we analyze that there is not a conflict. Directly is not a conflict because I could be, but there is a level that their coachee maybe, right, maybe can be so much in trust with the level, because I am also the supervisor of the boss. I arrive young. And so we decide that I am the supervisor of the boss. And for the other one, I didn't offer one-on-one supervision, but I offered coaching and group supervision. So everybody see what happened, they can smell what is supervision, and then they decide if they like to have a one-on-one supervision or not. So it's more gentle. And this is in the relationship of the quality of normative. And then, and I arrive, is another level about restorative, how I live my rule. How I can stay happy with myself when I coach and when I work with this, which is my parallel process that helped me to stay in the presence. Yeah, which is your question or your thought?
It's really, because I do that. I often do coach. I coach my boss. I coach various other people too. And so it seems quite normal. I think you're right. You know, it's about being very clear. For me, it's about being very clear what my role is. If I'm clear about my role, that I'm there as a supervisor and support. Doesn't matter if I'm coaching somebody that's several grades higher. I work with directors. I have done in the past, and it's never been an issue because I'm clear about what my job is. So.
And sometimes also happen that we have some parallel process that we are conscious or sometimes not. And so I present my model. I integrate the level of the 7 eyes model with this model. I need to find the picture. Okay. I developed this picture from Matthias Balga von Kibet. And Matthias was my trainer in constellation approach. I am also a constellator. This model represents the way of our mind work. It's a model. We need to know the data, the instruction. We need the knowledge. If I hear a dog that make noise in the black cave, I'm not so much in class because I don't know if it's a Chihuahua or a wolf. But if I know there is a Chihuahua, I'm not so scared. So I need to know something about. And then I need to structure what I do in order to implement my knowledge. In this way, in the area of mind, stories, idea, for example, maths, I can study maths, but I need to do exercise. I need to analyze my rules, as Jan say, and I also need to analyze my structure in the company. Which is my structure? Which is the level of leadership, for example? There is rules, there is mechanism, there is law also. I'm not a psychologist. I can work like a psychologist in Italy because we have rules for that. And that so represent in some way the rules, but there is another part that represents the trust. And trust could be connected with the soul, with the silence, with the presence, with the passion, with the beauty also. In Italy, we talk about the beauty. Person could be very beautiful. In English, we can say elegant, but okay. And so we can also have these 3 verbs. If I know, I can do something. If I need to stay in the structure, I must do something, or I should, because there is the rules. And then in the area of trust, the verb I found is want. I want something. We can't work about the want of our client. They want, they decide what they want. We can only help to analyze the can, what they can do, in order to decide the want. And in this level, for me, the key words is the words I deserve. How much they know, they have energy, resources, and so on, they deserve something. And so if we merge that with the model I create, and I show the other picture, in every person, there is a triangle. A client have his triangle about this knowledge, this structure, his trust. And as coach, we have our knowledge, our instruments, our trust. And when we go to a supervisor, the supervisor on the top, not because he's more important, just because the lens, you remember the first image, the lens are more big. If coaching is a helicopter view, a supervision is an enterprise views because it's out of the world. So in these plans, we live different level. And what we do as level more is just to create the lines. I share you my article, so you can read everything in the article. But what do we do? Imagine these planes, like planes with the little steer. So we can, if we take this too much rigid about the structure, these planes not be horizontal, but they change, and everything fall down or stay up and down. So we can work to manage these strings in order to help them to be aware. So when we analyze what we do, we can analyze what happened as instruction, as data. We can analyze the structure, and which is the scaffolding that the coach do in this session. How we can change our scaffolding to help the client to be more aware. What about the trust level? What is about the present that stay behind? And in this point, we can analyze also the systemic point of view, because all these levels are in equilibrium, not only with the client, but this family of the client. The idea of the value that we have and this all the parallel process that happen. And so when we analyze the supervision as a concept, as a map of harmony that help people to be in equilibrium with all the system, we can find like a circle. And do you remember the article of Steve DeShazer, The Death of Resistance? He said about the relationship with the therapist and the client. And if we work not as two systems, but only one system, that we work together in order to develop something beautiful, something more important. So we become a system too. And we can think about supervision like another lens. And if we look, it is also in eyes. And we can use these eyes to look the reality from another perspective. So no judgment, because I'm a supervisor, not in order to check if it was right or wrong, but only in solution-focused approach, it was useful or not useful. It was in agreement with the rules of the structure that we follow, we decide to follow. What we are developing in Italy now is the merge between ICF, MCC, psychology coach, in order to create also a manifesto about supervision. So supervision as a practice that help the body of coaching to be more aware, to be more professional, to be more in this level. So we have half an hour and we can share and talk about this model, because I will send you the article, but I'd like to offer this model in order that you can apply in your practice. So what I could give you now in order to apply more in your practice is clear the triangle. There is something that I need to explain more.
I think the triangle model sounds very clear. I'm just curious how you use that in a solution focused way, because you could take that model and do that in a very problem focused way, or ask about knowledge and structure and have the whatever. So yeah, I'm just maybe sort of giving some illustrations about how do you actually use this in a coaching supervision session would be really helpful.
Yeah. My approach is really the solution focused background behind. And for me, it's very, the epistemological point of view is a social constructivism. So my narrative is value as the narrative of my client. We only need to find the both narrative can be used. So if I look to the knowledge, if I look to the structure, there is not rules that structure is dead. But what we agree, me and the client, about the structure, when I do a supervisor for MCC, we agree that our rules is the code of ethics of MCC, but it's not the truth. It's our code of ethics. If I am in Italy, I agree that the rules are the Italian law about this. So I use solution focus with the triangle in order to use the triangle like an exploration instead of a stone, something bright in the stone. And also another point of view is the Holy Bible, the Holy Book that talk about Noé. Maybe you know the story, Noé that created the ship. And the book of Noé say that Noé have 3 sons, Ham, Sem, and Japheth. And the other book later talk about the family of these 3 sons. Just a list of names, finish the book. Okay, I ask myself why. Maybe to the belonging, and this is a kind of reading. But the other kind of reading in the Hebraic, I'm not Hebraic, but I study and I ask to person that study that. The name of the 3 sons in Hebraic represent knowledge, structure, and beauty. And the son of this son represent the quality of these. For example, one son of the structure is dictarism, a dictator. So if I am my mind too much structured, I create a dictator inside me. So the Bible talk, this kind of book talk about our work, our mind. So in a solution focused way, I use that not like truth, but I work with this as a model in order to explore with my client. What do you think about this and this and this? Did I answer? I also use in a constellative approach. Do you know constellation approach? Yeah, okay. And I also help client to walk on the floor in this triangle. And they can smell, they can see. For example, one of my clients study a lot coaching, and so I have a lot of structure, a lot of models to do. And he said that he was in front of the trust and see the structure behind. And I asked him to turn and to use the shoulder in the direction of the trust. And he felt something different because he felt, oh, I can trust in myself. I have a lot of experience. If I look from this direction and I look to the structure, I can trust in my structure and I not use the rigid model of the school, but I can implement something else. And this is the cross from practitioner to senior practitioner, that merge. But he never allowed himself to merge because he was rigid about the structure. The growth say that I need to do that. Why? Why you can change? And so we can also use this triangle in order to help the client, our client, that coach, to reflect on this practice, reflect on what they do as a person. And so this map of harmony represents that we are not only coach, we are not only supervisor, we are a person. And the person has this 3 level. And when we look at these, we become as a supervisor, more aware about our parallel process. I don't know if you read the book of Daniel Kahneman, Thought Fast and Slow Thought. He talks about bias. It's a very interesting book. I suggest you to read. And if we analyze the bias that we could have, we learn to be not in silent, but to be more calm. Not in order to don't say something, because I can stay in silent and the clients listen in the silent, but inside myself, I continue to talk. This is not silent. Silent does mean that I come just like a witness, not like an observer. When I was a technical supervisor, I was an observer. I have a direction. I look to the technique. I look to what is wrong or not. When I change this approach to MCC supervision framework, I become a witness. I'm just here. And I listen to you and I watch everything happen. And I reflect with you like a mirror. And you can draw your car. And you can see from your mirror. And you can see the only point, the only spot, the black spot in your mirror, because I'm in front, I'm near to you, and we talk together. And so this is a very collaborative approach. In this way, we learn each other and we grow up each other, and we create a body of coaching more professional. What do you think about? If you have a case, we have time also to explore, like a group supervision. We are all expert in solution focus, so we can use. And if you like, we can analyze just a case. And so I can guide all the group in order to have a group supervision, but we need the theme. During you think about, I copy the link for my article and I give you in the chat. So you can copy, you can, this is in S5O. You can read everything. But in the article, I didn't talk about this level that changed the planary of the plane. And was really interesting how much we much care we need to manage these things.
May I?
Yes.
Yeah. So I've just been fascinated by your model and the interesting way that you're integrating different models, like the seven-eyed model and then some of your own. And it is this real kind of merging of different approaches. I also hear that you're very in your supervision style, you're very influenced by different models and approaches. And if I understood correctly, you kind of tailor make it to the person that you're with.
Yeah.
And so you're listening carefully to what style or approach that you think might fit. And it's not just a solution focus lane, but then you bring a holistic kind of systemic approach. Did I follow that correctly?
Perfect.
Good. Okay. And my confession to you, and maybe to this group, is I am really committed to the fidelity of solution focused practice. Like just now we were in the plenary and there was an interview from Paul to the other three, sort of the crossover capability of solution focused practice. It started in therapy, but then there was this crossover to all these other areas. And one of the areas they did not mention was supervision. And Frank Thomas has written a book, The Supervision Style of INSU, Solution Focused Supervision.
Yeah.
And just very fascinated by what? You're bringing a solution focused approach, a supervision, how can that be? And then when I sort of got fascinated by it and realizing, oh, it is a kind of mindset. It is the mindset and the philosophy of SF that you're bringing, sort of that isomorphic quality.
Yeah.
And it would be very hard for me because I'm so immersed in SF thinking and philosophy. I just be very truthful with you, Marco. It's very hard for me to mix in other approaches that are, in my view, incongruent or crossways. Although I admire other people who are well-versed in many models. So I'm kind of very old school, I have to confess. And I do supervision using only purely an SF way, whether it's one-on-one or with the team, or I'm teaching. I just bring that SF isomorphic approach to everything I do. While because I'm very simple, I like things very simple. Seven-eyed model. I'm thinking I'm not smart enough. I can't even remember the 7 eyes. So I love SF, and I just love the simple, profound quality of SF. So this is sort of my confession as I step into your presentation. I'm curious and I want to learn. I want to experience how other people do supervision, but I'm also very, very wary of not being true for me to what I believe is the way that I think about supervision. So I'll be quiet now.
Okay. Listening you, if I think to my triangle, so we can apply the much important point is about the trust. For me, now it resonates in me. Where you come from? Which kind of country?
Oh, I live in Singapore, but I'm from the US. So I work and live in Singapore.
Okay, and you are US.
Yeah.
Okay. And I suppose you work in Singapore with many clients that are American or not.
Actually, very few clients that are American, mostly international.
Yeah, okay. So
it's a very global place.
Exactly, exactly. In this global place, you merge your culture with the culture of your client. And of course, you are solution focused, maybe more close than me, because Steve was a USA, but you have this culture inside. So if you analyze the culture, and if you analyze that you are a woman and I'm a man, and you have an history, your childhood, and so on, all this part play in your tools, not only the solution focus. Solution focus is just the approach, it's just the mindset, it's just the point of view that help you to look about what works instead to find problem or to check what is wrong. So you just implement a lot of things more than solution focus. Of course, I don't like so much the 7 Eyes model too. It's quite complicated. But if you are expert, if you are senior, you smell the systemic point of view in a company. You consider that the client says something, but you consider that the other actor, that they didn't talk. Your systemic point of view, analyze this. So your 7 Eyes model is inside. So maybe you not nominate the 7 Eyes model, but you analyze that the client have some parallel process. Maybe the client is similar to your son or your parent, and make some ideas. So you don't talk about 7 Eyes model, but you play with these. So what I love, really love of solution focus, I don't use solution focus. I really have solution focus. Because we live our life in this way. Everything become this language. I also separated from my wife, and we do in a solution focused way. We analyze and we understand 1 year later, because we didn't fight. Everyone check what is working and what could be useful for the couple, but we didn't analyze directly. We understood 1 year later. So if you analyze that, it's not about models or something else. It's just about presence. Models are just etiquettes. But what we really do with the client, we just stay with them in the silence, in the real silence. Then we can talk. Our mind need to talk about solution focus, cognitive approach. Okay, this is just etiquette that help. All right, yeah, that help to sell. But what we really do, we stay in the silent in order to welcome. In Italy, we have a word that I really love, it's accogliere. In English, it's not exist this word, and they translate in accept. But accept for us is not by heart, accept is by heart, by mind. And so this accogliere does mean welcoming the heart without judgment. I also can't accept you, but I welcome you. Make sense? Yeah.
I mean, I feel very much the same as Debbie does, I think, in respect to this. And that I'm solution focused. Yes, I've been trained to use a 7-eyed model, and I've used it. And my original discipline, as far as counselling is concerned, was transactional analysis. And so dual processor is just a natural part of that kind of thing. Where I'm struggling a bit is and I confess, I use CBT on occasions when I'm working with people, and whatever model I think works. But there is a danger, don't you think, of as you start to apply some of these things, rather than focusing on a solution, sort of more traditional, if I dare use that phrase, solution-focused approach of playing expert, and that's not what we do. And so just struggling a bit with that, in terms of, you know, yeah, I've got a model here and it's better for you, or this is good for you, and I think there's a danger, and it's an ongoing thing for me. I'll be honest, in my practice, that I'll use various tools, and I think that's fine. I do try to have my core discipline kind of solution focused, so that because I believe in it, and I retrained in it from doing other disciplines. So I guess that's the bit that worries me a bit. You know, it's easier because I'll use CBT as a way of getting people to reframe how they see things, which I think is legit, and I try and do that in a solution focused way. But it just feels that you know, rather than being one step behind, I'm playing kind of expert, and that worries me a bit. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. And for example, the AT, the transaction analysis, I don't know if you know the dramatic triangle.
Yeah, I do.
The victim is. As a supervisor, sometimes I found some coach that is an helper.
Yeah.
That help just the victims to continue to do the victims.
Yeah.
I can judge these, but I'm not judged because I'm solution focused. So what I do is that useful for you?
Okay.
And so I use transactional analysis, but
yeah, I do.
in a solution focused way. It's not, for me, it's wrong. But
I know, I get you.
I say, well, this is useful. What do you can learn from this triangle? What do you can see? What change? And say, oh, wow, oh my God, it's not useful, really not useful. So what you can do different? I don't say there is a position out. Maybe you are more strong. I say, what you can do differently? And so I use solution focus, merging other techniques, merging other approach.
Right.
In this way, in honor of Steve DeShazer, we create something new with the solution focus. Solution focus 4.0, 5.0, and so on and so on and so on. To implement something new, to create something new, because life goes on.
Yeah, no, I get you. That's helpful. Thank you.
And I also use this triangle also for my training course. How much knowledge is inside? How much structure is inside? How much passion I put inside? But the point is just two: the intention and the silence. If I analyze my intention, if I be aware of my intention, I can learn something, I can use. I show you something. Do you need that?
Yeah.
Okay, this is my great tools. I learned from Sue Licorice. Sue Licorice is a coach, okay, you know, and she offered us this polo and say, okay, what do you do with the polo? Oh, we just put in mount, okay. And you destroy or you play with the hole? Because people are in two groups: people that destroy the polo with the thing, and people that play with the tongue on the hole. People that play with the tongue on the hole is divided into other groups. People that look to the polo that become more teeny, or people that look to the hole that become more big. So please, for 5 minutes, you just have a polo, only focus on the hole that become more big. And we spent 5 minutes just with the polo in the point to see the hole that become more big. When the exercise finished, everyone needs to say something. When the turn arrived to me, I want to say something, but I couldn't talk. I take the other frown. When I arrived to me again, I say something. I completely forgot what I said. And Sue said, oh, you really touched the exercise. During the hole become more big, also my inner space become more big. My hole become more big. I become empty, completely empty. And so I become a witness, not an observer. And before a coaching session, before a supervision, I use a polo. And if it was very complicated, after I use a polo in order to wash my brain. It's a really great exercise. It's a mindfulness exercise, but help to be more clear with the client. I buy this in the shop, and I went to the shop for buy polo because I went to my workshop, and I buy 21 of these. So, and some eggs. So the woman that need to receive the money look this polo and say, oh, you love the polo. And I was thinking about the workshop, so I was completely in trance and said, not at all. I only like the hole. Imagine his face. She looked at me very bad, very, very bad. So I say, oh, sorry, no, I want to say that. And I explained this technique. I opened one of them and I gift her only all one piece. And so now in the shop, I'm famous like the polo man. But is that solution focus is that the capability to help people to be in this inner space of completely silence world. There is a very wonderful book about this is the book. I really suggest this book. It's Peter Szabo book. The Art of Turning When Life Does Not Stick to Plan. It's a really, really great book from Peter Szabo.
It's the latest book, no?
It's the latest book.
Yeah, okay.
And it talks about the presence. It talks about this level. And you know, Steve DeSheza was a great saxophone jazz musician. Mark McErgo, too. A lot of coach play music. But yeah, a lot of them. I analyzed that people that play music, they smell, they live the presence because they become witness of what they play. They know what does mean flow with the music. They know what it mean flow with the other people that play with you, and you know what they do, but you play together. And if we analyze the music, there is a concept inside, knowledge. There is a structure, the rhythms, major or minus, and there is our passion that we play in different way in relationship of our energy or our emotion. So also we can look at the music with the triangle level, which is the sense of the words, knowledge, which is the structure of the music, which is the smell that he play in a different way that he play. Because he moved when he play, and it arrived at me completely different from another very professional that just play. So also, if we look to this parallelism, we can use that also in supervision. It's not important how you do your session. It's about how you live your session. What you smell, what you do, what you feel, what you learn from your session. There is not anything wrong. People sometimes come in supervision say, I said something wrong. Are you sure? How you know that is wrong? Yeah, because the client say that. And then what happened? Then we discuss about, oh, great. And he analyzed that the wrong create the discussion, and the discussion produce something else. So what's really wrong? I say, oh, maybe not. So it's just narrative. What we analyze, what we think, change our reality. As a solution focus, we just create doubt. Coach need to find a step, need to find object. Supervision, no. Supervision need to create other question, other doubt. People don't exit from a supervision session with everything clear. Sometimes they come out with more fog, but the fog create the desire to explore.
If I may, after listening to you, it's been really helpful because what you, I mean, a strong theme that I really like in what you're describing is supervision as an opportunity for lots of reflection. And I love how you, you are actually very inspiring in the way that you're weaving in music and polo and the candy and the humor, and it's all focused around anything that helps to expand the supervisee's sense of awareness. And it's the idea of the two of you, what you bring, your intellect, your experience, sort of sparking off this very exciting kind of learning environment for a supervisee. I could see how a supervisee would leave enriched by just who you are and how you've talked about it. I'm learning a lot from you, listening to
Thank you
you.
so much. Thank you so much. And I gift you something just arriving. This is my page. And I make now also a picture of you. So I see the name. And in the page, this is in Italian, but it's not important. You can see the article, the framework, and you can also check, there is my email, and you also can check with me. I will change something. You can also check some date, and we'll have some appointment. So I gift you a session, a supervision session, if you like, so you can smell and use. It's completely free. It's completely free. And if you want to join, is perfect. So hi Heba, can you say something? Maybe was your microphone. Okay, if you want to say something, welcome. So we have some minutes more. So what do you take home?
I'm taking home some fog, but in a good way, like you said. I think because I'm like Debbie, I'm quite sort of purist in terms of SF, having come from a background of clinical psychology and the 7-eyed supervisor and all sorts of other models as well. And I'm really curious. I'm really looking forward to reading your article and just sort of mulling over. I think it's sort of just, you know, understanding a bit more about how you sort of integrate it. So I'm really looking forward to thinking some more. I'm on holiday at the moment, so I feel like my brain's not in gear. I'm just like parked the kids in front of the TV so I can be here. But it's been really useful, and I would love to meet up with you. I'm not back at work till sort of end of August, but that's so kind of you to give us some time. I think that would really help me. You know, it's like the experience, and then reflecting on, oh, what did it look like? What did it feel like? And then that, you know, would help me as a supervisor. So thank you so much for that.
Yeah. What happened? I would love to have a supervision session with you, because I'm very interested in how others do supervision, because, you know, I have a lot of gray hair. I've got some color in it, but when you have spent years supervising, and then I've had supervision, but it's only been with SF people. And I'm very interested in this integration of other models or other ways, because I want to expand my ability and my capability. So I will be reaching out to you. Thank you very much.
Great.
Yeah, thank you. That's very kind of you to do that. I mean, what you've done for me this afternoon, because I was struggling a bit with part of it, but I love the way that you actually demonstrated what you do, because you picked on a model that you knew as a TA trained person I would know and was familiar with, and you were able to use that in a way that helped me to understand how you integrate different models into it, which I found really helpful. And yes, and interestingly enough, my own supervisor is very open about using other methods in a solution-focused way. So you give me quite a lot to think about. So thank you. Thank you.
Great. Bernard, something about you?
Yeah, I think my takeaway is the triangle, where in my supervision I will bear in mind all those trust, structure, and the knowledge, to bear in mind in my supervision. So
I think I had to bear in mind all these three to supervise my team. So this I think is good to take away to bear in mind my brain. Yeah. Thanks for that, Marco. Yeah.
And we use also in agile context, we develop agile supervision. And we use, for example, in agile, they do a retrospective. But the retrospective is an analysis of what go wrong and right. They only look about what go wrong and right in order of object. They are not able to analyze the system, the relationship, the emotion. So with the triangle, they can analyze its internal structure. They can analyze the level of trust of people. They can analyze the level of passion of people. And in teams, it's really clear. And with teams, you can also offer this model in order to see, okay, which is my best skill? I'm more structured. Okay, I work more in this, and I describe and I talk and I write articles. Okay, this is knowledge, but I want to say something about the emotion, so I can help to the history, to the storytelling, for example. And that change. And we also create a play of cards with the triangle. There is cards, is my logo, about structure, beauty, and knowledge. And there's questions cards that people use in order to analyze the story. So one say the story about leadership, and the other in the group use this question from this three perspective. And so they integrate this question in three different ways. And it's a very useful tool to learn how I can work with questions. And for example, the paradox. This is the schema, the element of the paradox. How you can work with, there is a paradox in your structure. How can you implement a paradox? What change if you implement a paradox? I need to thinking about, my brain sometimes will go broken, but it offers me different perspective. So we can come out from schema. And in company, in coaching, it's not so much different because we are person. And if we think that we are person, there is not so much difference. So the time is gone, finish. I wish you a great conference, and you have all my contacts, so you can do something. So Eva,
wonderful. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.